Hi everyone, Anthony Fantano here, the internet's busiest music nerd, and it's time for a review. John Talabot. Finn. John is an electronic music producer from Spain, and this is his debut LP, but the first time I ever ran into him was last year when he released an EP by the name of Families, with a badass gorilla on the cover, and an even more badass title track that featured Glasser on vocals. Really great beats and grooves throughout. I didn't review it, and I actually forgot to include it in my favorite EPs of 2011 list because sometimes I just okay? But that's all in the past, and now I have this new album on my plate. And I had high expectations going into this thing because I liked the material on that previous EP so much, and I gotta say, John delivers. Now if you listen to this thing, you're just gonna get one track after another of dance tunes that are just really sexy. They are groovin', but not too hard, not too aggressive, a lot of just experimental and micro house tunes. Lots of really straightforward, repetitive beats, atmospheric effects, slow, patient builds, just always looking for different ways to evolve. You know, just elements that a good house album should have, in my opinion. But what I like most is the variety of sounds and ideas that John is able to bring to this LP while kind of sticking to those themes. Lots of repetition, lots of smooth, atmospheric sounds. This album starts with what I think is one of the best opening tracks of this year. It really kind of sets up the dark, sexy, and silky sounds that kind of flow throughout this LP. The build on this opening track is especially subtle, I think the most subtle on this entire LP. Once it kind of builds up to its peak, the rhythm hits me so hard, I just have to thank evolution that I have thumbs to snap along. I just want to go, ooh yeah! There are all these panoramic jungle sounds surrounding the music, and as the track progresses, more percussion sounds are popping up left and right. It's, you know, kind of becoming a little electronic drum circle, and I love it. And these heavenly background vocals are in the mix, this really kind of warm, round, synthesized bass line. It is bliss. The second track hits me with another great groove, and a vocal feature from a singer who's actually featured on the last track of this thing too. And the singing takes the inherently sexy sound and just magnifies it, especially when the vocals just get kind of tightly layered, like multi-tracked on top of each other for these really kind of quick shots of chorus. Those two tracks and all the other best songs on here do kind of feature that just repetitive, ever-evolving groove formula. A lot like Caribou, or Fortet, or Nicholas Jar, or Panther du Prince. His grooves on this LP are so great, when you get into them, you just get lost in them. And for me, it's just easy to forget that I'm listening to a producer as opposed to a band. Especially since all of the really atmospheric sounds on the synthesizers, on the samples, and the percussion, some of which sounds like is sampled hand percussion, it just feels so live. The track Last Land has these really kind of pitch-shifted vocal samples, and what sounds like either a string sample or a synth sample or a guitar being sampled as well. It's a nice addition to the various sounds that John throws into this LP around these evolving beats. The track When the Past Becomes the Present kind of indulges in a little bit of nostalgia. It drops another one of these beats, but the music surrounding it just kind of ends up making this track feel like a song that could have been dropped either at the tail end of the 80s or at the beginning of the 90s to be played in the club. And the track H.O.R.S.E has these really sporadic rhythms in it that really kind of makes it feel like kind of a footwork song, but the rhythm isn't as loud as it usually would be in that style of electronic music. It's very, very quiet, very understated, and kind of dark and eerie because of it. Some of the songs on here are kind of short and don't really evolve as much as others, but still kind of add an interesting sound to this LP, like the third track, which the rhythm on that song isn't really straightforward, isn't really repetitive, because I feel like John spends a lot of time on that track kind of improving the rhythm throughout the track against these swirling synth arpeggios that are just running in circles and kind of speeding up and slowing down and reversing. It gives me a really kind of woozy feeling. Ooh. And the eighth track on here kind of feels like a really lucid, poppy synthesizer beat that I could see an artist like Neon Indian or Toro y Moi singing over. Where this LP really gets kind of dicey for me is toward the middle. The fourth track has a really great groove, but doesn't really come across with a strong flavor like a lot of the other songs on here do. Just kind of has this one muddy synth chord progression, and it just doesn't do all that much for me. The song Missing You has a nice groove too, but where it kind of puts me on the fence is with these vocals that have been run through so many effects, they're mutated beyond belief, and it ends up making them sound really kind of odd and dissonant and glitchy, and in a way it's kind of an interesting sound. How did that sound come about? I don't know. I'm wondering. But then again, do I really love listening to it? I'm not sure. But my least favorite track on here is definitely the song Journeys, which sticks out like a sore thumb, not only because it sounds different than all the other tracks, it's way more upbeat and fruity, has kind of a fruity quality to it, but the vocal feature on that track, not only does it sound like Panda Bear, but it's not even like a good impersonation of Panda Bear. It's really kind of off-pitch at a lot of moments in that song. It's not even just the way this singer is singing, it's also the reverb effects that John chooses to put on these vocals, and how he multi-tracks them too, that makes them sound kind of just like a leftover piece of Meriwether Post Pavilion worship from 2009, 2010. Aside from a few tracks I'm not too hot on, I thought this LP was a great debut for John. He does a fantastic job of highlighting the importance of a great groove and a nice slow build. In terms of the kinds of emotions and moods that I'm getting from these songs, this album jumps around a little bit, kind of making for a little of an inconsistent listen. But I still feel like most of the songs on here are so well put together, I just can't not celebrate them. Feeling a strong 7 to a light 8 on this album. Loved it. Thought it was great. But what do you think of this thing? Have you heard it? If you have, do you like it? Do you hate it? Why? And what should I review next? Anthony Fantano, Fiend Forever. Ooh, that's not good.